Hello, and welcome to my very first drawing tutorial class. Before we get started, I need you to repeat after me. I have no talent.
I have no talent.
Mr. Sea Rabbit has all the talent.
Mr. Sea Rabbit has all the talent.
If I'm not an expert at drawing hands by the end of this video, there is no hope for me whatsoever as an artist.
If I can't be an artist in this video, I will take my hands also become an artist at the end of this video. Hands.
Perfect. If you're an artist, then drawing hands is a challenge you're going to have to overcome someday. I don't think anyone actually likes to draw hands, and if you do, you're probably a sociopath. Like, I think it's fun to draw people, at least their bodies and stuff, but then you inevitably have to draw more extremities coming off of those extremities. It's like drawing another body attached to a body, in a way. But it's really hard because a single hand is about the same difficulty to draw as a body is, and you have to draw two of those suckers attached to the body, which just makes the difficulty go up exponentially. So in this video, I'll be sharing my top 5 tips I've found to help you draw hands better. You get it? 5, 'cause 1 for each finger. Sometimes I scare myself with my own brilliance. Alright, tip number 1. Avoid having to draw hands in the first place. I know this is technically not a tip on actually drawing hands, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, the title of the video might sort of imply a little bit that it's maybe supposed to help with drawing hands, but you probably didn't read the fine print in the thumbnail which says, but it's better to just avoid drawing them in the first place. Which is true. Some of the ways you can do this are with body positioning. Hide them behind the back. Put them up in the air, but only make the canvas large enough for everything below the wrists. Hide them behind objects that are close to the character's vicinity. This kind of mentality really makes you get creative with drawings. Here, as an example, I made a whole comic strip where there aren't any hands shown the whole time. Panel 1. Hi, honey. What time will you be home? Panel 2. I'm going to be late again. There's a backup from this big traffic jam. And you can see here in panel 3 that the reason he can't get home is because of this large jar of strawberry jam that happens to be in the center of the interstate. Panel 4. Do I have to leave? No, he won't be home for a while, so we can proceed with our adulterous activities. You see? You probably wouldn't even notice that they didn't show their hands the whole time if I didn't point it out to you. This technique was actually developed in the 1600s by well-known artist Leonardo DiCaprio, and you can see he utilized it in his famous painting, Pale Guy with Hat. Notice how in the painting, you can't see any hands drawn, while in reality, the subject of the painting did have hands. Leonardo DiCaprio simply chose not to draw them. On to pointer number 2. One of the only good things about drawing hands is that you always have at least one right next to you to use as a reference. And if you don't, then you can't draw anyways. So get out of here. Get out of my video. Nobody wants you here. Handless weirdo. So if you always have a perfect example of the thing you're drawing with you, how can you use that to your advantage? That's right. You can take a picture of it, do some basic editing, and then use your own hands in your drawings. You don't even need to draw them at all. Just take a picture in whatever position you need and slap those suckers in. Easy as cake. Tip number 3. I don't know if you noticed, but I've already used this bit of hand drawing advice in the video. That's right. If the character you're drawing is doing something vulgar with their hands, then you're obligated to censor them. And drawing a black bar is a lot easier than drawing an actual hand, right? So if your character is constantly flipping the bird, then you won't have to draw any actual hands. But I do have to warn you, this tip is a bit more advanced than the other ones so far because you are obligated to draw the lower portion of the hand and the top of the middle finger. If this is too advanced, I highly recommend the techniques we discussed earlier. On the plus side, people will assume you actually drew the hands and simply added a black bar over them so your integrity as an artist remains intact. Moving on to number 4. This one only really applies if you're making digital art. Basically what you do is you take your hand and you put it... Actually, I'll just demonstrate.
So, here's a drawing that I kind of just whipped up to use as a demonstration, and as you can see, there is no left hand, and I'll be using this technique to fill that in and show you how effective it really is. Alright. So, what you're going to want to do is position the canvas so that you can line it up with your own hand, and you want the character's body proportions to be similar in scale to your hand. So I'm going to do that by just zooming in really far on the wrist until her wrist is about the same size as my own. See, if I put my arm down, they're pretty close. And then you want to put your hand in whatever position you want the drawing to be. So I want her to be making a peace sign, so I'm just going to go like that and put my hand down on the tablet. And then you just gotta trace around it, which is really easy to do. And look at that, it aligns almost perfectly. And that's pretty much the exact shape that you would want the character's hand to be in, because it's based off of a real hand. And this can get kind of advanced depending on the hand position, because you might need to fill it in depending on how much you could actually trace, but that shouldn't be too hard because you already have a base there. Now, I know I'm doing this on a monitor tablet, but you can do this on any drawing tablet, even just the pad ones, and kind of just add creases where there are joints, you know, basic hand drawing stuff, and boom. You've never known that that was traced. Amazing, right?
I was actually taught this during my schooling in the famous Harvard School of Arts, so if you put in the effort, go to an Ivy League art school, and practice a lot, even you can make fine hands such as this. Alright, on to tip number 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one. You know what's easier than drawing hands? Snails. Snails are easier to draw. Just draw snails instead of hands. You're welcome. Now wait before you go. Please don't go anywhere. I'm excited to announce that my merch store at CrowdMade will be selling these cute little sea rabbit pins. Pins are a great way to show support for your favorite content creator in a more subtle, classy way. But they'll only be available for 10 days, so make sure to go to the first link in the description to get one. What's even more exciting is that if these do well, we could see a sea rabbit plushie being available in the future. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. I actually streamed myself making this video on Twitch, so if a chill drawing stream where we kinda just hang out and talk is something that would interest you, feel free to give me a follow on my channel. I stream Monday through Friday every week at 4 p.m. EST. Link to my Twitch is in the description. Anyway, thanks, bye.